Hello, I'm Francisco and this is Whaaat, a show about history. If you saw my video about industrialization and capitalism, you're probably like,
okay, concepts, but what was the Industrial Revolution?
And if you saw my video about the Industrial Revolution, you're probably like,
but what does it all mean?
So this video's purpose is to explain the implications of the Industrial Revolution and its effect on regular people like us. A cause and effect video, if you will, where the Industrial Revolution is the cause and the effect is cookies. That's right, we're talking about cookies today. Now, I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't eat cookies regularly, and Whaaat is not a cooking show, so I won't be making them for you, but we will discuss recipes. One for a cookie that was made before the Industrial Revolution, and one for a cookie that is made after the Industrial Revolution. The first recipe is from a 1734 cookbook called The Complete Housewife by Eliza Smith, and it's called the Drop Biscuit. If you want to see a video where they actually make it, head to the Townsend's channel, which is an 18th century cooking show. I love it. There's a link in the description below. But basically, this recipe has 4 ingredients: eggs, sugar, wheat flour, and for a fancy spin, caraway seeds. In old recipes, there's really no separation between the ingredients list and the procedure, but the instructions are: you preheat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius, and while it's heating, you basically whisk the eggs, whisk the sugar, and optionally the caraway seeds into them, and then continue to whisk while you slowly add the flour. And then you continue to whisk by hand, because it's the 18th century, for at least 1 hour, until the mixture becomes extremely light in color and texture. Pour medium spoonfuls into a floured surface and bake for about 6 minutes. Then lower your oven temperature to about 100 degrees Celsius and bake them a second time, again for about 6 minutes. This second baking is to completely dry them out to make sure they don't spoil, because remember, in the 18th century there were no refrigerators or easily available chemical preservatives. This recipe produces a large batch of cookies because after all that work, the last thing you want is to have to do it all over again the next day. The second recipe is called the Maria Biscuit. And differently to the first one, it's a modern industrialized recipe with similar ingredients like sugar and flour, but it uses other more specialized additives to achieve the same texture in every single cookie, produce up to 1 million individual cookies every hour, just like that. And also to make sure it doesn't go bad before people like us buy it in the store. This one is not made by hand, but in an industrial machine that mixes the dough, shapes it, bakes it, and puts it in standardized packages. Now, both of these cookies have the same purpose. They're the kind of cookie that people would bring out to have their coffee in the morning or their tea in the afternoon. But why are they so different? I'll tell you why. Because the Industrial Revolution happened. The Industrial Revolution allowed for the substitution of hand production methods by machines. Instead of producing 40 cookies after 2 hours of hard manual labor, not counting the time it took you to collect your eggs and grind your flour, factories produce 1 million of these cookies every single hour, for a fraction of the cost. Second difference, home production became separated from industrial production. While the drop biscuit has to be made at home, because that's how it works, that's what the recipe calls for, the Maria biscuit is kind of impossible to produce at home, and even then, not worth it really, when you can actually just buy it for very cheap at the store. The Industrial Revolution made products available for purchase that would have just been made by hand before. Finally, the Industrial Revolution made more products available to more people. While the drop biscuit in the 18th century would only be available to people with the time and energy to stay home and dedicate so many hours to producing them, the Maria biscuit is available to those with money to buy it. If you want to hear me talk about the relationship between capitalism and industrialization, head to my other video. I talk about that there. I hope you learned something, even though I kinda just wanted to make a video about cookies and that's what I did. Like, subscribe, and answer the question below. Would you dedicate 2 hours to make a cookie at home without getting paid? Let me know in the comments. Bye.